What's up, Cowboys Nation? Today's video is exactly the kind of off-season crossroads that tell you whether a franchise is serious about winning a Super Bowl or just talking about it. Because right now, the Dallas Cowboys are staring at two massive questions that could completely reshape this roster on both sides of the ball. On defense, Dallas might be looking at a high-upside, high-risk move in the secondary, a young cornerback with real NFL production, real ball skills, and real pedigree but also a concerning injury history. This would be the definition of a prove-it signing, the kind of move that contenders make when they believe their system, their coaching, and their culture can unlock something special. And let's be honest, after finishing 30th in total defense in 2025, after cutting ties with expensive veterans, and after missing the playoffs again, the Cowboys have to take calculated risks if they want to change the narrative. But while the defense might be adding, the offense could be subtracting, because at the same time, Dallas is reportedly considering placing the franchise tag on George Pickens, not to keep him long-term, but potentially to flip him in a trade. Let that sink in. We're talking about a wide receiver who just put up 93 catches, 1,429 yards, and 9 touchdowns in his first season in Dallas, a guy who instantly became one of the most dangerous vertical threats in the league, and yet his future with the Cowboys might already be on the clock. According to Ian Rappaport, a second-round pick could be the return, and while that might sound crazy on the surface, when you zoom out and look at the cap situation, nearly $30 million over the limit, it starts to feel like another classic Cowboys dilemma: pay elite talent or redistribute resources to fix a broken defense. And that's where these two stories collide. Do you gamble on a talented corner coming off injuries to stabilize the secondary? Do you sacrifice a star offensive weapon to gain flexibility, draft capital, and balance? Or do you push all the chips in and say, we're keeping everyone and figuring the rest out later? Cowboys Nation, this is the kind of offseason that defines Super Bowl windows. Every move matters, every dollar matters, every decision echoes into January. So before we break it all down, the risks, the upside, the numbers, and what this actually means for 2026, smash that like button if you believe bold moves are the only way forward. And only subscribe if you're a real Cowboys fan, someone who truly believes this team can make the right calls and reach the Super Bowl next season. All right, let's talk about why these moves make sense, why they're terrifying, and whether this front office is finally ready to do what it takes to win it all. Let me ask you something right now. What if the Cowboys' next starting corner is talented, only 26 years old, but coming off a major injury? Because according to league insiders, Dallas is being linked to Asante Samuel Jr., and this move could say a lot about how this front office plans to fix the secondary. Only real Cowboys fans understand how important this offseason is. Let's get into it. Why the Cowboys are here. Context matters first. Let's set the table. Late in the 2025 season, the Cowboys made a move that was painful but necessary. They released Trevon Diggs. And look, this wasn't about talent. This was about availability, cost, and performance. Diggs had become one of the most expensive corners on the roster, frequently injured, less reliable on the boundary than his contract demanded. Dallas simply couldn't keep paying premium money for uncertainty. So now what? You've got Deron Bland as your CB1, young options like Siobhan Revel and Kalen Carson, and multiple early draft picks coming up. But that secondary still needs experience. That's where Asante Samuel Jr. enters the conversation.
So now the question is, who is Asante Samuel Jr.? He is just 26 years old, former Florida State standout, son of Asante Samuel Sr., a two-time Super Bowl champion and All-Pro. Early in his career with the Chargers, Samuel Jr. showed strong man coverage skills, excellent instincts, and ball production. At one point, he even recorded 3 interceptions in a single playoff game against Jacksonville. Through his first 3 NFL seasons, 6 interceptions, consistent starting level play, looked like a long-term CB2 or better. So why is he available? The injury concerns the real risk. This is the elephant in the room. In October 2024, Samuel suffered a serious neck injury. That injury cost him over a year, completely derailed his career momentum, and turned him from a rising starter into a reclamation project. He finally returned late in 2025 with the Steelers, starting 3 games. The results are solid, but not spectacular. 2 Pro Football Focus grades showed he can still play, but not yet at his peak. That's why teams are cautious. No one is giving him a big multi-year deal right now. Why does Dallas make sense? Now here's where this gets interesting. The Cowboys aren't just a random team in this rumor. Samuel would be reunited with Derek Ansley, his former defensive backs coach with the Chargers, now in Dallas. That matters. This is a coach who knows his strengths, a system he's already played in, a staff that understands his limitations of post-injury. From a football standpoint, Dallas is one of the cleanest fits possible. And from a depth chart perspective, Samuel would likely compete with Siobhan Revel Jr. for the CB2 spot opposite Bland. Nothing would be handed to him, but the opportunity would be real. Now, let's talk about reality. the money problem. The Cowboys are projected to be nearly $30 million over the salary cap. So how does this even work? Simple. This would be a one-year prove-it deal. Low risk, limited guarantees, heavy incentives. And honestly, that's perfect for both sides. Samuel gets a chance to rebuild his value. Dallas gets experienced corner play without long-term commitment. If he stays healthy and plays well, this could look like a steal in 12 months. As a Cowboys fan, I actually like this idea, with condition. This cannot be your only move at corner, a replacement for drafting talent, a long-term solution without proof. But as a calculated gamble, this makes a lot of sense. The Cowboys need upside, they need flexibility, they need players who are hungry, and Asante Samuel Jr. checks all three boxes. Now, I want to hear from you, Cowboys Nation. Would you sign Asante Samuel Jr. to a one-year deal? Do you trust the medical upside, or would you rather go all in on the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk football. Now, back to George Pickens. The franchise tag for wide receivers in 2026 is projected to be just under $30 million, and the Cowboys already have the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, the highest paid offensive guard, and the third highest paid wide receiver on the roster. Financially, Dallas is boxed in. If the Cowboys keep Pickens, they either eat a massive one-year cap hit or commit to a long-term deal. That's why the front office is listening to trade calls. Why does a second-round pick even make sense from their point of view? Now, as fans, we hate this, but from a front office standpoint, Dallas originally acquired Pickens for a 2026 third-round pick, a 2027 fifth-round pick. If they flip him for a second-rounder, that's asset growth. And more importantly, that pick helps restock a roster with real holes on defense. It gives flexibility in a draft where Dallas owns multiple premium selections. This isn't about picking the player. It's about cap management after years of aggressive spending. The on-field impact? This is the problem. Now, here's where I push back hard. As a Cowboys fan, losing Pickens would hurt badly. Why? Because he wasn't just productive. He was Dak Prescott's most reliable contested catch target, the perfect complement to CeeDee Lamb, a true vertical threat who forced safeties to stay honest. Without Pickens, this offense loses explosiveness, loses size on the outside, loses margin for error, and replacing 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns is not easy at all. And the locker room talk? That's the uncomfortable part. Pickens has had diva labels follow him dating back to Pittsburgh. Is all of it fair? No. But teams do worry about emotional volatility, sideline frustration, long-term chemistry. Dallas just went through a massive locker room shift after trading Micah Parsons. The front office is clearly prioritizing financial control, cultural stability, roster flexibility, whether we agree or not. My honest take as a Cowboys fan, if I'm being real with you, I don't like this move unless the return improves. A second-round pick alone feels light for a player in his prime who just posted elite numbers. If Dallas trades Pickens, I want a high second-round pick or a second plus another asset or a young defensive starter included, because championship teams don't get better by subtracting elite talent unless the replacement plan is airtight. Now, I want to hear from you, Cowboys Nation. Would you trade George Pickens for a second-round pick? Should Dallas pay him long-term instead? Or is this another case of the Cowboys overthinking it? Drop your take in the comments. Let's talk football.